Welcome back, listeners, to Han Took Shots First. This is Derek, one of your hosts. This will be the first half of our discussion on Solo, a Star Wars story. If you want to hear the whole episode uncut without ads, you can subscribe to the Bad Movies Worst People Patreon at patreon.com/worstpeople. Enjoy.
We are back, and this week we have definitive proof that Han shot first. I'm Jack.
I'm Derek.
I'm Ryan.
And this is Han Took Shots First.
Foist. Trying to get in there with like the bad movies. Worst people. Han took shots first.
Foist.
Cut that shit right out, dude. I don't know why I went newsy on it. Han took shots foist. That's just in Tatooine Tribunal.
Tribunal?
Yeah, isn't that some normal paper or something? Don't they got one of them in New York? I mean, Coruscant? I grew up on the tough streets of Coruscant. Had a vibroblade stuffed in my boot to get protection from the Minox. Just kidding, there's no Minox on Coruscant. Idiot. I mean, there might be in the lower levels.
If you guys couldn't tell, we're back and we're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story from, 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018. I'm the one with the notes. Why do I not know that?
I don't know. Yeah, and also doesn't open with the Star Wars fanfare. We don't get a scroll.
No, but it's
A
even
crawl,
more
thank
annoying
you.
that we don't get like the crawl. Yeah, because it still opens with a fucking scroll.
You're still expositioning. You're just doing it differently. Like you did the font that says in a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but then you didn't do the bam bam.
No.
And I wanted that.
It just says it's a lawless time and something about. They had like everything capitalized that you needed to know.
Yeah.
So it's like something syndicate,
Corellia,
something Corellia,
hyperfuel.
That's how the
something
crawl
something
is,
Lady
too.
Proxima.
I
The
guess
crawl
it is.
has the capitals of the things
Yeah.
you need to pay attention
And
to.
Lady-
Rebel forces.
Lady
blah, blah, blah.
Proxima is mentioned right here in the opening, like you said. And then she is out of here in a second. Like
Yeah.
it's almost not worth mentioning that she's
Yeah.
here. But I guess it's we don't have to show that she's in
the
charge.
lawless time though. That just sounds good, so I did
It
like
does.
that. But
Yeah. It's a lawless time in a time when the fucking Empire has more laws than they've ever had. Like,
but
they are
Outer
in a-
Rim or
they're in a
something.
bad sector. No, it's just Corellia.
Oh, okay.
This is the biggest shipyard. How Coruscant's a ship, a city planet. This is Corellia is for ship.
I think
making.
this is placed like the Empire has their laws and their rules, but I think this is placed before the Empire's really fully taken over, right? Because we see the war
Yes.
going on and stuff. So it is more lawless because there is no republic. There's the Empire who's trying to take over, but people are resisting. So
And-
it's just kind of like whatever.
And if this is a backwater place, they're going to put just enough people to keep control of it and not really enforce laws. Because
Yeah.
we do see the underground kind of ruling.
We see a stormtrooper cop.
Yeah, we do for a minute, and it's like a half-assed Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, I have a note there. I was like, this should have been a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, well, so I didn't know this, but at this point, Disney's trying to vault the Wilhelm scream, and there are 4 variants of it. This being one of them,
Well,
and I don't like
that's
it.
not it.
I don't like it.
There's and then there's There's the Wilhelm scream and a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. Well, you want to get the
I
tail
mean, I
of the
guess
tape?
if the guy playing that stormtrooper's last name is Wilhelm, then it still counts.
Still, I doubt it.
You know what? Back to the no crawl opening though. I think they're just like, this is a solo story. This is a shoot off. This isn't a whole crew of people. This isn't a whole. It's just one dude.
Well,
so
It's funny you just mentioning. I mean, I know it's called Solo, but when you said it, it reminded me of something I read. Apparently, this was shipped to theaters. Like, obviously, they don't want to. Well, not to theaters, I guess. The film was shipped, or whatever they shot on, whatever discs they shot on, were shipped to like their editing places under Project Red Cup.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Come fill me up.
Han Solo's nuts. He filled me up. I have to
like I'll have to remind myself, but I can't think of it right now. I don't think Rogue One has a crawl and fanfare either.
Oh,
I don't
feel
think
that
it
is
does.
also
I don't know.
that is also a Star Wars story.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're saving that for like the saga.
Unless it has an episode in front of it,
Yeah.
it's not getting that
Okay.
fanfare.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing, that's fine. I just now thought of that.
Speaking of the beginning, I know we have to still talk about the director and stuff, but that's the only piece of music besides the stuff that this other guy stole that John Williams made. John Williams did the opening theme for this movie.
All right, so I want to get to 3 things about this movie that I either don't like or didn't like. Here's why this isn't a phenomenal movie and can't ever be. 1, it didn't need to be made.
No.
Han Solo's backstory should be mysterious. 2, there's no world that this dude grows up and becomes Harrison Ford. It doesn't happen. And 3, you don't have a tasty John Williams score, and it shows. There's times they're doing things that are pretty fucking heroic and or triumphant, and I'm just like, that's all right.
Well, the guy that did the music, this guy John Powell, his other great credits.
Porn.
I mean, he did the music for Face Off, which is pretty epic.
That's porn to me.
But he also did Shrek, Evolution, some of the Bourne movies, Pluto Nash or The Adventures of Pluto Nash.
Oh, God.
The Italian Job, X-Men 3.
Jesus,
just
That's some
Christ.
Bad movies and fart music.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
and for a franchise known for its music, like, come on, you're just pulling some random dude to finish
Yeah.
everything besides John Williams after he does the the score.
is he not accepting your calls anymore? Is John Williams not accepting your calls? Hit him up.
Maybe it came down to the fact that they had to make this movie twice.
Could be. I think they're trying to step away. Like, this is our Star Wars story. We're doing it our way, and we don't need John Williams. Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, that guy, that Ludwig, whatever his name is, guy that
Yeah.
does the Mandalorian stuff is good, but that's a different vibe.
Absolutely. He's good, too. I don't want to see him doing episode 10.
No.
But let's get to the
Speaking
director.
of them making it twice. So this was directed and credit by Ron Howard, who you should probably know. He's that redhead guy.
That's not me.
But he directed Cocoon, Willow, Backdraft, Apollo 13. So some good stuff.
He
some not
narrates
good
the
stuff.
fuck out of Arrested Development.
Yeah. Produced that.
Mm-hmm.
But he was from Happy Days. So people who don't know can go
he's
back and look.
Opie.
American
What's
Graffiti.
Andy Griffith's
American
show?
Oh,
Graffiti.
Andy Griffith, yeah. But he came in after they fired Chris Miller and Phil Lord, who don't really have great directing credits in their thing. But I guess they have a background in like improvisational kind of comedy or sketch comedy, and that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
So Chris Miller directed Shrek the Third and Puss in Boots, and Phil Lord directed all the episodes of Clone High, 21 and 22 Jump Street, and the Lego Movie.
I like 21 Jump Street. That's
Yeah, so I
fine
mean,
enough,
he's
but-
got
Lego
some
movie's
funny chops.
decent,
The
actually.
Lego
Yeah.
Movie has some funny stuff. The 21 and 22 Jump Street
But
are
why
funny.
did you feel like you needed a comedian, a director with a comedic background? For
Well,
this?
I don't know if they were like trying to go because Han Solo's got that like, snarky thing going on. But like apparently they were let go because they were doing too much improvisation and it was costing a lot of money because it would be like these big long setups and then people would improvise.
Let's do a
and they'd
take
be
for
like,
just
okay,
me?
let's do it again.
Let's do a take for you.
Yeah, and
Let's try an
Kathleen
angry
Kennedy
take?
apparently was just like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But to hire a pair of animation directors that are known for funny and decent movies, but they're aimed at kids and animation, while you're bringing live action Star Wars into this.
Yeah,
It's an odd choice.
I mean, they've hired a lot of people who aren't known for directing this type of stuff. I think it's a lot like the Marvel thing, where it's like we're gonna hire the people who are willing to say
Yes.
yes.
They will always
I
say
will
yes
do
to
it.
you.
Because like in Marvel, you ran into like Edgar Wright was supposed to direct Ant-Man, and you
Yep.
can still feel his fingerprints on it because he wrote the script, but he had left over quote unquote creative differences. Because basically they were like, yeah, but you also have to do this because it has to tie to that, and you have to do this.
I
'cause
think
it has
that's
to tie
why
to that.
Waititi's second Thor movie shits the bed.
I think he was-
Ragnarok was lightning in a bottle for him and for Marvel. But since then, it's like, man, he does not need to be working with everyone, telling him, like, this is the shot you need. This is the story you have to tell. Like you were saying, it's all connected. Like, well, he can't do that because in the next movie, he has to.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was in a contract, and he's like, okay, I'll do it.
I just think getting comedic directors is missing the mark. Like, just get Guy Ritchie up in here
What's
with
funny
Jason
is
Statham.
I knew nothing about this. I did a little bit of research just going on Wiki or whatever today, and that's when I found out that it wasn't Ron Howard that originally started directing it. So, and I didn't know these directors that did all that. But
Well, from what I read, Ron Howard reshot basically like 80% of what they had already shot.
Uh-huh.
And technically, to get the director's credit, according to the Directors Guild, you have to shoot 90%. But I guess they made a deal with these other two guys, so they're credited as executive producers, because they're still all over this.
They
movie
are
too.
credited as execs.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was basically brought in because, I mean, he doesn't make exciting movies per se. I mean, I like Backdraft and I like Willow, but
I
like
like a lot. Of
Cocoon,
I
is-
like both of
Cocoon,
those.
you can take
Oh,
that.
Don Amici, dude.
There's a great people in it. That doesn't mean it's a good movie. And then like the Da Vinci Code movies, like he's good. He's known for
Did he
being
do Apollo 13?
Yes.
He did
He's
Apollo
back on my
13.
good side.
but he's
did a
known for
lot of good
being
stuff.
efficient and professional.
Yeah.
And at this point,
He's
they
a
were
Hollywood
already
director.
Yeah,
He's a
they were already
Hollywood man.
going to go over budget, so they're like, "You come in, you do this because you'll get it done."
Who is the writer or writers of this?
Oh,
Jonathan and Lawrence Kasdan. So Lawrence Kasdan wrote Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, Force Awakens. He wrote the script for Shadows of the Empire, probably the best Star Wars game ever,
Uh-huh.
in my
Played it,
opinion.
sadly.
He also did The Big Chill, Bodyguard, Wyatt Earp. So I mean, he's a storied writer. His son has
Wyatt
done a
Earp,
lot
yeah.
less.
Baby.
His son helped develop the Willow series.
Oh,
So that
God.
didn't go well.
He does have another son though that I found out about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But this kid, I watched a behind the scenes bit with the two of them, and it didn't have much information. But basically, he was born when Return of the Jedi came out, so he just grew up watching Star Wars on VHS.
Real professional, dude.
But I'm jealous of this kid because he's like, my dad would just get boxes full of toys every year because it's the same thing as like Mark Hamill's thing where it's like, give me the toys, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So he's like, I just grew up having all this cool shit. And he was showing some of them, and it's like a Millennium Falcon, like Barbie's Dream House playset. Like it's a Millennium
Oh,
Falcon.
the top comes off.
and it opens and,
Yeah.
and it has like the little thing where they sit to shoot the guns and you can twist them and the gun turns. And I
Oh,
was like,
fucking
dude,
awesome.
fuck this kid.
Yeah. Piece of shit.
But yeah, they wrote it. And he commented a lot about how his dad was more beholden to like the original movies, having a legacy and da-da-da. Whereas Jonathan Kasdan was the one that's versed in like extended universe and all that
Mhm.
stuff. So he wanted to bring
Well,
in
there's
a
a
lot of that.
lot of EU shit in here.
And I do just want to mention real quick, it's not, I mean, the movie looks good. It's just doesn't, like you said, didn't need to exist, but it looks good. It was
There
shot well.
are so okay.
And, I just want to mention real quick that Bradford Young was the cinematographer, but he also was the cinematographer on Arrival. Have you seen that? Denis Villeneuve's Alien movie with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner.
Yes, sorry, because you say Arrival and I think of the
Charlie
Arrival.
Sheen?
Yep. Yep. And I'm like, man, he better not be trying to like give me like accolades of somebody and mention this Charlie Sheen fucking movie.
No, Arrival, not
Arrival.
the Arrival.
Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
And it looks beautiful.
Yes.
It's a Denis Villeneuve movie, but like, so this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So I love hate this movie. When it came out, I fucking hated it. Everyone had this Star Wars fatigue. You know, we had already had the sequel trilogy kind of starting to crap the bed. Decisions were being made that weren't good. And then this came out, and like we talked about, he's not a good Han Solo.
Well, I think he's okay.
I don't dislike him.
Jack,
Jack, I know you don't like him.
The only
don't
thing I
dislike him as
disagree
Solo.
with of your 3 points from earlier is the second one. Like, yes, he's not going to grow up to be Harrison Ford.
There's his
But it doesn't
nose.
matter.
He smiles too
But
much.
that doesn't matter. That's one of those watching a movie casting things like, good luck finding your Tom Everett Scott to Tom Hanks.
You know what I mean? You know what I'd
Or
rather
Scott-
you do?
What is it? Tom Everett Scott? Is
Yeah.
that right? To Tom Hanks. Like, good luck with that.
You know what I'd rather you do? Fucking the movie, the parody movie Walk Hard with Dewey Cox. Have Harrison Ford play young Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Like, I'm 15
Oh,
years old
yeah.
and I just got my
Yeah.
fucking
No,
license.
because Disney would just do what they did in Dial of Destiny.
CG the fuck out.
Yeah, just fucking
Oh,
target him
and
down
age
to a
him.
little baby.
Jack, so good segue. So the director of Dewey Cox is the other Kasdan son.
Oh,
It's
really?
really?
Shut the fuck
Jacob
up.
Kasdan is the other, and that's what I was going to talk about. He's done some good stuff. He also
That's
did
too
Freaks and
funny.
Geeks.
Oh,
A lot of
nice.
episodes of that and exec. New Girl, maybe exec, definitely director.
Okay.
You're
You're speaking my language.
Undeclared, and I just read this today, but I was like, oh, he has another son because all I
And
knew
a talented
was
son from what you're
Jonathan working
mentioning.
on a lot of his movies, and like they started as kids helping out, but I didn't know that there was another kid, and finding out that he
Yeah.
directed a ton
I
of
didn't
those.
look into what else Jonathan did. I only looked at his writing credits.
I was making
So-
a joke earlier about Guy
but
Ritchie.
Jacob doing better stuff.
Yeah,
overall
no.
from
I
what
mean,
know,
Freaks and
maybe
Geeks
a
is
little
fucking
older.
great. Like,
Yeah,
I was making a joke earlier about Guy Ritchie directing, but that would give us Jason Statham as Han Solo. did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Fucking cunt.
And I mean, it's at the end of the movie, and who cares? But I do like when he says, we did it in 12 parsecs, and Chewie says some shit, and he's like,
if you round down. That is very Han Solo. So I am being harsh on him because I don't like the look of this guy. They had to hire acting coaches for him while filming because he wasn't nailing what they wanted.
Well, he was also very new. This is one of his first credits.
And last.
No, he was in the great. No, not great. He was in Cocaine Bear, but he was really good in Oppenheimer.
Okay.
He plays Robert Downey Jr.'s like
boyfriend,
assistant or whatever, like
boyfriend.
during the black and white scenes when they're doing the trials and all that stuff. Have you seen it yet?
No, but when you say black and white scenes in the 1940s, I wonder if it's like black people over here and white people over here. Like it is the 40s here, pal.
No, it's actually weird the way they did that movie. The black and white scenes
colored movies either.
The scenes that are in color are the older stuff when they were making the bomb, and the scenes that are in black and white are the newer stuff when they're during the trials and all that stuff. So. But he was really good in that. I mean, he has a small part.
No, I'm being a little harsh on him because I was saying, we were all fatigued by this release. It was too much, and you weren't giving us what we wanted. It was supposed to be a new era of Star Wars. But then years went by of me thinking I hated this film. The year was 2021, and I took a hero dose of mushrooms at a party and got driven home by my friend, and she put me on the couch and put this movie on. And I was floored. Nice. It was a work of fucking art at that moment. And so, the next day I was like, man, was that just the shrooms getting on top of me? So I rewatched it. And I was like, no, there's some beautiful parts here. There's some good Star Warsing here.
Well, sorry, full disclosure.
No, that was it.
I didn't get to watch all of this rewatch for this podcast because we watched it drinking with my wife, and she was bullshitting the whole fucking time.
I don't know if you know about his wife and alcohol.
I did not fucking get to watch any of this movie, really, like about half of it, but I'd watched it originally like 2019 maybe.
Yeah.
So like I'm running off of the original watch kind of because I don't remember some of when we were bullshitting the other night.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I'm following enough.
But I mean, you definitely, when we watched it, even with your wife jib-jabbing, there's some shots that you pointed out. Like, that's a fucking Star Wars shot. Like, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
So,
and there are some points that really hit the Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
But there's just some stuff that doesn't. Because like you said, this doesn't need to exist. This movie, my biggest problem...
Does,
so I watched
let's talk
it in theaters.
about it, right?
I watched it in theaters, and I remember really liking it. But, you're in a theater. It's a different experience. I never really watched it again until we were preparing for this. I watched it a few weeks ago, and I was a lot more disappointed. I was like, well, this is just like, get it? That's how that thing happened.
Oh, wow.
Get it?
So we
That's
had
how that
opposite.
thing happened. But then I watched it again today. Obviously, I didn't watch it right before, and like, I was in between. I was like, okay, I still see the stuff that's like, get it? That's why he's called Solo. Which, fuck
God.
that.
Could throw up.
And like Chewie's nickname, and there's so many stupid things.
we
that
gotta
need to be
get
explained.
to it because I have things to say about stuff.
But I really, really did, and I enjoyed it much more this time.
Yeah,
around,
you can pick out
so.
things you love, and we can just ignore the things that we hate, kind of. But
I think the reverse, going back and picking plot points and then giving those, I wasn't as cringy about it. It was more some of the comic aimed at kid dialogue by some of the people where I'm just like, oh, that was...
Some people are delivering their lines.
Jon Favreau, I didn't like it. I really appreciate what he does for Star Wars.
Yeah, but this is not it. This role of Rio.
Yeah, sorry.
No, some people speak so flatly that when they deliver their lines that you think they're speaking in code. I hear you make good brandy. Am I supposed to open like a secret door behind me when you say that? That sounds like are you ordering a brandy?
So we can get into it. So we did mention, we've already talked about him, but we didn't say his name. Alden Ehrenreich.
Yes.
Right? Is that correct?
Ooh, sounds German.
Yeah, Ehrenreich.
Aaron Reich.
Change
Rock
that
on.
last name, dude.
It's actually pronounced Alan Reich. You're saying it wrong.
The Third Reich of my family.
I'm the third born of this name. We're going to want to change that name.
But it starts
Am I
with him.
right?
It starts with him stealing a car or a speeder, which is pretty fun.
No. He's stealing a car. This is like American Graffiti in space right here.
And you know what? And again, this is from watching behind the scenes. A lot of the car chase stuff or the speeder chase was practical. Obviously, there's a ton of CG. They're not on some weird walkway over the water. And
but
all
this
that.
is
grease under the lens on the wheels of the land speeder.
Exactly. Like this guy, he's driving, or a stuntman is driving a vehicle that looks like this, but it has wheels. And the guy chasing him is driving a vehicle that looks like that, but with wheels. And so when they're whipping around doing U-turns and stuff, that's all real with tires.
Which is why it works more than episode 1 or 2 or 3 when you have people just in a pod that's not doing anything.
And they're either
Exactly.
moving the camera around it or animating it. in a
Exactly.
weird
And you can
movement.
see, you're like, man, nobody here is having a good time acting.
These guys took a lot of effort to do as much as possible as practical effects, which does show, I
Yeah.
think, in a lot of it. Because you can really see when
Did
it's
you
not
catch his
practical.
hanging fuzzy dice?
Yeah, and that's something he had in episode 5, right?
Yes, or 4.
Was it 4 and
Yeah,
5?
starting at-
It's
Yeah,
in at
it's-
least 2 of the movies.
It's in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, he has a little dice. And that's one of those things where somebody was watching it who wrote this, probably Jonathan Kasdan, because Lawrence
Sure.
Kasdan's like, you watch the fucking movie again.
I did.
I fucking wrote it.
I made this fucking
I wrote the
movie,
book.
you little shit. But like, it's one of those little details where it's like, oh, that's where that came from. And that's kind of a fun, like, that's where that came from. Whereas there's a lot of that's where that came from that suck.
I'm fine with this one.
Because there's another one later on too that's a very small thing, and I wouldn't have noticed it if they hadn't pointed it out in the behind the scenes. But there's a point in the Millennium Falcon when it's still Lando's Millennium Falcon where there's like these headphones like on a table that are like these big silver over-the-ear headphones,
Yeah.
and they went back on the special features and pointed out like it's something that's hanging on the wall in the Millennium Falcon in episode
okay.
4. So they're like, hey, this is a thing. Like, we're bringing this back. Like, these are just been in this ship for a long time.
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
definitely didn't catch that.
I mean, I wouldn't have either, but that's one of those things where somebody watched it with paying attention to detail, and I appreciate that.
I'm
so
sure
watch
if you
it,
have a
so when you watch it for a podcast, like watch behind the scenes. Don't let your drunk friend or drunk lady
Well,
talk.
there's a lot of times on our other show, Bad Movies, Where's People, where we're watching it together.
And you're just hammering.
And we're drunk and we're talking about shit. We're just making jokes, and then it comes time to record, and I'm like, well, I remember the jokes I made.
so
like, let me just wiki
see,
the plot real quick.
see old episode Night of the Leapist. I think that's our drunkest we've ever been whilst
it's-
recording.
Oh, we recorded that right after we recorded episode 1.
Oh, yeah. So we recorded Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, drank. Then we went to On the Rocks and drank. And then we got back and watched the Night of the Leapist drinking and then recorded, which
It's
is
just
why
a
that is.
blackout.
No,
Out
that's
of
the
a-
funny thing. We didn't
Okay.
drink. We didn't drink in episode 1 for that reason, because we knew we were going to go
Let me
drink.
add this to my
But we went
episodes
out to the
listen
bar,
to.
we
What was
drank.
it?
Night of the
Night of the
Leapist.
Leapist.
Night of the
Filmed in,
Yeah.
filmed in mostly Tucson.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Saurita.
So it's the Arizona month one? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
February.
But we went. Yeah, we didn't drink during episode 1 for that reason. But then we went out to the bar and got food and got drunk. And then we came back and watched the movie and kept drinking.
No. We went to the bar and got buzzed. Then we came back and got drunk.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then we got drunker when
And
we
then-
recorded.
and then it was
we're
like, all
doing-
right.
we're doing the episode where like fucking rabbits are eating people.
It was a terrible movie to begin with.
yeah, that's how you got to record those ones.
But so he steals this speeder and he goes and picks up Amelia Clark playing Kira,
Yeah.
which is spelled the most annoying
With
way.
a Q.
And an
Q-I
apostrophe, right?
apostrophe R-A.
Oh,
What is she, a rapper?
Which was really annoying taking my notes of the first 8 times I typed it. And then my phone was like, anytime you type QI, you're doing Kira. Got it. And I was
Yeah.
like, thank you.
I just would have typed it out
Thanks,
phonetically.
AI. Learn my life,
Thanks,
please.
Zuckerberg. Yeah, from Game of Thrones. I mean, everyone's
Game
gonna
of
know
Thrones
her.
is the big
Dragons.
one. Yeah, she was in.
Yeah.
She played Sarah Connor in that Terminator Genesis.
Wouldn't have
which was
known
trash.
that. Yeah.
She was in a movie that the wife and I went and saw that we really enjoyed called Me Before You, which is like a sad drama movie about a guy in a wheelchair and she's his caretaker and they fall in love. And
Oh, I thought it was gonna be about orgasms. Hey, me before you. Am I right, babe?
she was also in
And
Secret
she's
Invasion.
just like walking in front of him in his wheelchair, like, all right, come on, me before you, bad boy.
She was in Secret Invasion. She's one of the main characters in that.
Yeah.
Which everybody hated except me.
They did. They
I
made
was
her
okay
so
with it.
overpowered. Different podcast. Well,
Yeah, we'll get there. That'll be a different podcast.
Yeah.
Once we finish Star Wars, we'll do a Marvel podcast.
we
We
were
got,
just setting
we got
ourselves
29
up.
years worth of
Dude,
content
how long
there.
does Derek think I'm gonna be alive? Like honestly.
I'm doing this till the day I die. I've got no retirement plan. So, this
so
is
if I
it.
die, he's gonna keep going. Y'all heard it here.
It's just me in a room alone because Whitney's given up on me.
Let this be my will and testament that I allowed Derek to repurpose my voice for all. Bad
we're gonna-
movies,
we're gonna
worst
target the
people.
shit
We're
out of
building
that.
your
Took
AI
voice
shots
as you
first.
speak.
Yeah.
Run Jack through a bunch of filters and then just type in what he's saying. Derek, you're the greatest.
I take back what I said.
She was also in a movie though, and I saw this just looking at her credits before she was Game of Thrones famous. That is definitely something I want to watch. It's not even bad. It's one of those ones that's too bad for Bad Movies, Worst People. It's like a straight to DVD trashy CG thing called Triassic Attack.
Wait.
How is this too bad for me?
Yeah, like
Well,
wait. First of all, we have a standard.
Well,
Night of the Lepus, dude.
but we aren't doing like, at least at this point, we aren't doing things like Sharknado and stuff like that.
No. Okay,
so
we do have a standard. Birdemic is our standard.
This looks Birdemic quality, is all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Have we got a podcast for you?
Bad movies, worst people.
I mean, look, you like getting a couple beers in you, watching a bad movie, and yucking it up with your friends. That's what we're doing. We have microphones.
We have great impersonations. We have bad impersonations.
I think it might be one of the best podcasts I've ever heard.
It's the best podcast I've ever heard, fellas, and I ain't lying through my giant teeth. There's a sample.
Yes.
You can find us anywhere. Badmoviesworstpeople.com. Come check us out.
If you don't follow us, we will follow you home.
So they get caught by this guy named Moloch, who is a weird worm turd.
Yeah, so what's funny is the gang that they're part of is the White Worms.
Okay.
I have the name here, but I need what is it? Lady Proxima. I have the name, but I couldn't figure out how to say it because of it's never been said. It's just been written down. So
Well, those are always the most fun Star Wars words.
It's so written down just in this movie or written down in the
Wikipedia.
verse?
Wikipedia.
Oh, okay, in the verse.
Yeah, there's probably a well, maybe not with this one, but usually there's like a novelization that goes along with every Star Wars.
This
release.
movie does have a novelization.
Okay,
so,
it does.
Yeah.
So it's either Grindalid or Grindalid. Grindalid.
It's Grindelwald, and he's the one who's trying to fight that guy that's finding magical creatures.
It's Clark Griswold, and he's trying to have a great Christmas.
Are you trying to Harry Potter and Fantastical Beasts and where to find them? Me?
That's all I got.
But no, so I actually love the design of Lady Proxima
Yeah, she's cool.
and Moloch, I think you said.
Moloch, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I had to put
I don't know,
subtitles on for.
animation-wise, she was fine to me.
She-
too,
yeah.
but design-wise.
Design is dope. I like Moloch with his armor and everything
Yeah, he's
because
cool.
they are
He kind of looks like
photosensitive as fuck.
what the fuck were they called?
the Pikes.
in Mass Effect.
Oh.
Rex and
Yeah,
his people.
It's a
I can't
G
think of what they're
word.
called. But he looks.
I know
like,
you're talking
Kind of
about.
looks like
Species,
kind of
though.
looks like them, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
with the way the armor is and stuff, at least.
Yeah, they were the war people.
But I did kind of laugh to myself because he's, they're slang for like people who are from Corellia who are poor, which is I guess everybody who doesn't
Yeah.
own a shipyard, is scrum rat. And
Uh-huh.
they kept saying it, and all I could think, because he's doing this like
Riff
running
raff,
the-
scrum rat. I
I
didn't
don't
steal that. If
all
only
I could
Proxima
think.
would look closer.
That's all I could think
Oh,
of was
no.
fucking Aladdin, dude.
Look at this ship I got.
Yeah, that's great, dude. No, I like what's happening
but
here.
it seemed like they went from scrum to scum. At
I think
least
it
in the
depends on
subtitles,
who's saying it.
maybe.
But
yeah.
the subtitles always said scrum, but I think some of the aliens especially are a little more like, "Bar, bar," and you're like, what did he say?
I like
Maybe I
creative
had bad
Star Wars
subtitles. I think it
cursing.
might have just done scum rat.
Yeah. No, I like the creative cursing.
Moloch kind of chases them or takes them into. He hasn't chased them yet. He takes them into Lady Proxima.
Because some deal went bad. I'm glad they didn't show this. Like the movie starts with Han Solo.
Well, they didn't show it because they
fleeing
have to have
from-
time to have a prequel for Solo.
Yeah.
You gotta have a prequel for a prequel.
And they don't want to bring this one over 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I know. We need to trim
Hey,
some fat off of this.
It was surprisingly only 2:15, and I'm gonna put that on. That's where I'm gonna give Ron Howard credit because it sounds like those other guys were making a 3-hour movie.
It should have been 2 hours. I'd been fine with 2.
Oh, there's plenty
I
of stuff
think
you can cut
159
out.
is
but-
your max you should have done, and nowadays especially.
Well, you know what? You could go 201 because you just can't be longer than the original Star Wars, which
Okay,
is
all right.
201.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, they have. I don't know if this is a new word, coaxium. I'm sure it's in expanded universe. I don't
I'm
know
sure,
it.
yeah.
But it is the hyper fuel that we
Dude,
need.
if you take a drink every time they say coaxium, you're
I'm
not
fucking
finishing this
slosh,
movie.
buddy.
Slash.
I've been drinking every time the coaxium.
The person who did the voice for Lady Proxima,
Yeah,
I want
she's-
to mention it's Linda Hunt,
Uh-huh.
who's a little short lady. She was in Dune, like David Lynch's Dune, but she was the
She's
principal
in-
from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, she's in Kindergarten Cop. She's in that Richard Grieco vehicle called If Looks Could Kill. I'm putting a little slang on.
She's almost every episode of NCIS LA.
It's actually not a vehicle. It's just a really bad movie.
Yeah,
So you guys are telling me I don't know this lady right now.
you've never seen Kindergarten Cop?
Yeah, Kindergarten
Yeah,
Cop.
not
She's
the
the little principal
really. I
that
know the sister.
pretends to punch.
I know the sister.
Little tiny short
Arnie.
lady.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, little
That
tiny
lady's
shorty.
alive?
Well, she was
Well,
in
she was
2018.
COVID killed her, I bet. But
But yeah, so trouble. You know, it's that scrum rat fucking thing. You got to try. You'll never
Scrum
steal
rat.
enough to get out.
Yeah.
You know, you're just stuck with the white worms.
Which doesn't seem to go away by the end of this movie. Just
No.
one more job, man.
Yeah, one more job.
This
that's all
whole
I need.
movie is one more job, right?
Need my
At least for
fix.
one character.
I need my fix.
But
So this is the chase scene now you're talking about because he escapes by throwing the baseball.
he has a really funny line. So right when that happens, first she's like, "So you didn't leave with anything?" He's like, "Well, I left with my life. I like that."
She doesn't.
But yeah, he has like a rock in his hand, and he just goes click click. And she's
What's
like-
that? What's that supposed to be?
And then this is straight from Jedi, right? It's a thermal detonator
Uh-huh.
that I just armed. She's like, "No, it's not. It's a fucking rock."
You made the clicking sound with your fucking mouth.
Which is funny.
Yeah, I do like it.
Although
I didn't love her delivery, but I thought it was a really funny line.
Yeah,
you
it's-
just made a
it's-
clicking sound with your mouth. I thought she could have just delivered it a
Yeah.
little better.
but he throws it through the window, and apparently she can't be in the sun.
their species can't.
Okay.
They are from a planet that has zero sunlight. It's all atmosphered off.
So then we get the car chase where they get in their super cool speeder. I guess it's like the sports car of speeders.
I'm sure somebody out there would be mad if I didn't know the name, and I don't. It's like a T-47.
It reminds me of like a souped up version of Luke's. You know, he American Graffiti.
Very much
Luke's
so.
Land Speeder in New Hope.
Well, because Luke's is on that backwater Tatooine place. His is essentially like a beat up Datsun. This is like that fucking
It's an El
Nissan
Camino.
280Z.
yeah, you actually can get parts because you're kind of in town. You know, you're not fucking
Yeah, you're not-
Sandy.
you're not jerry-rigging it up, yeah.
you're not Jawa rigging.
Jawa rigging.
When they get in it, Kira says, she's like, "Oh, an M48 or whatever it's called." She's like, "Nice." So it's a nice car.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Go
But-
cruising down the strip.
Dude, they're running away from this dude in this Jeepers Creepers truck, and he is keeping right up with them. So,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how nice it is, or if his Jeepers Creepers truck is a real Jeepers Creepers truck, which that thing keeps up with everybody.
I mean, I
so-
think that's what it is. It's the horror movie vehicle. It's like no matter how fast you go, I'm on your bumper.
And during that chase is when we see the stormtrooper cop, which just made me laugh because they speed by him, and he's like, "Hey!"
Hey, pull over there.
He's in that chase for about 8 seconds.
Oh, kinda.
But when they're about to get away, there's this little narrow alley, and he's like, "Oh, we can make this." And she's like, "No, we can't." He's like, "Watch me."
Hold my spotchka.
Fucking diagonal through this alley and just kind of peters to a stop at the end.
It's working
Yeah.
until it doesn't.
Which is another thing that they did practically. Like they were like, you can have the actors just lean over like they're on their side. They're like, but they put them in a rig on a green screen, obviously. Well, there
Right,
was
right.
a wall, like the walls are there, but then behind them is green screen, and they
Uh-huh.
just tilted the whole thing to the side. So when she's dropping and her hair is
I like that,
flopping, and
but I like that merriment of practical and CG. I don't
Yeah.
want. I don't expect the whole thing to be practical, and I
No.
don't want the whole thing to be CG. So good job.
it's a great way to mix them and make it look like another world, but still have the things that are in your direct eyesight.
And man, Corellia looks grimy, gritty, and I don't mean beautiful, but like beautifully done.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks cool. And this is the first time, right, we've seen Corellia. They've
Yes.
mentioned it, but we've never
Uh-huh.
seen it. So
Maybe in Clone Wars, it's hard to keep track of that many.
Well, in
the
live-
cartoons,
in live
but
action, at
in live
least,
action,
yeah.
yeah.
but so they're trying to get away. They get into the customs office.
So the
basically.
best way I can describe this, from what I understood, this is like North and South Korea meeting. You know, like the border.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because they bribed this chick to get across, and she's like, cool. And it works. They let her through. But at the last second, the fucking white worm guys grab, it's such a weird name. The white worms grab her, but they grab Kira, and all of a sudden that
And
door
she's like,
shuts.
Nope. She's like, report this now.
Yeah,
because
yeah, because if
I'm
they
not
make
being
it over
brought up."
to, this is the rich side of the tracks, don't fucking come over here with your poor people shit. This is the 8 Mile.
Kim Jong Un shit. Get back.
At some point in there, Kira mentions we could be kidnapped and sold to Crimson Dawn, and I was like, oh,
I wonder if that'll
I
happen.
wonder if they'll come back.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
It does.
comes back.
It comes back big.
But yeah, they get through there, and I don't know where I didn't notice where he grabs this cloak from, if it's just sitting on a chair.
Yeah, because he
But he
also grabs
definitely-
a hat off that
He
kid's
takes a hat off a kid.
He's just undressing, but you could follow a line of people that are missing partial clothing. He went this way. He got that guy's glove, that guy's shoe,
Well, good
that
thing it
guy's
wasn't
cloak.
like the vest he always wears, and then like it wasn't building.
Where do you think he got
reverse
that?
swing,
Oh,
like,
God.
Where did he got
That's his
that?
blaster. He just took it off that.
He was on the run. He's like, give me your vest.
That you know what? There's a lot of like, that's where that came from in this movie. I'm glad there's not a that's where his vest came from.
Yeah, because that's what you would expect.
Yeah.
I already know where it came from in my mind.
He found it.
It was on the Millennium Falcon with all of Lando's cloaks and things, but he
Oh.
threw them shits out. He's like, I don't need cloaks, but I will take your vest. What is this weird sex toy? And why is it shaped like yourself?
Lando has so many cloaks.
So many cloaks.
Maybe too many?
No, not for him. For you or me, yes. For him, no.
I do like he notices a Join the Empire video playing, and if you listen, the Imperial March is playing on that
Nice.
video, but it's like a pitched up version. So it's like the happy Disney version. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Like we're not here.
This is Indiana Jones all of a sudden. What's going on?
And then we get to, I think, the cringiest part of the movie.
I fucking hate this.
Do you remember this?
Is this cringy? Yeah.
When
Yeah,
gets
he
the
joins the
name.
army. He wants to be a pilot, but you have to.
See, I didn't hate it, but I watched
so
it one and a
what's
half
your-
times in my life.
So what's your name? Han. Han what? Who
are your
people?
people?
I don't have any people. I'm all alone. Han. Solo.
So stupid. His name
Maybe
could have just
bad
been Han
delivery.
Solo.
Yeah.
It could be it is a bad delivery, but also it's a bad delivery of a bad line.
It is
It's
telling
like-
you that he does have a family.
But
I
it's just-
think it's just winking into the camera.
Yeah,
It's like, huh?
it's
Solo, he's alone.
placation.
Get it?
Hey, why is your name Luke Skywalker? Well, because I fly planes. Get it? I skywalk.
I walk
Like,
on the
it's- It's so like, I don't know. It's just
So
unnecessary.
he didn't say
it's
Solo.
unnecessary.
The guy typing it in
the guy
said
gave
Solo.
him Solo because he's alone.
Why's your name Princess
I don't-
Leia?
I don't
Because I'm
hate it,
royalty
but
and I
maybe it
fuck
just wasn't
dudes.
done. It wasn't executed perfectly. What'd you say?
Why's your name Princess Leia? Because I'm royalty and I fuck dudes.
It's actually Princess Leia.
You don't want to know how he got named Grand Moff.
Grand Muff Tarkin.
Are you cold? Not downstairs.
Well, we cut to 3 years later, and this actually explains something to me that I've been wondering for my entire life. So it's 3 years later, and they're in war, and Han is like infantry,
Yes, this is
and
Imperial
this is
Army.
full on like trench warfare.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they literally have trenches. So for my whole life, I've grown up with Episode 4 and Obi-Wan saying, nobody can be as accurate as stormtroopers. And then we watch them suck for the rest of every movie.
Yes.
These are Imperial troops. The stormtroopers then would be like the elite version of these.
Yes.
So there are people below stormtroopers because we've never seen that.
You also
until
have
right
to,
now.
when Obi-Wan says that, you have to remember that he spent a lot of time with clone troopers that also transitioned into Republic Commandos, which
Well,
transitioned
yeah.
into.
Okay, so they were actual people.
They were
or-
phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is
Although-
stormtroopers
But
are
these
supposed to
grunts-
be good
but
shots.
These are the grunts. These are the military.
Yeah, but the clone troopers also kind of suck in those first three
Plot
movies
armor.
until they have to start killing Jedi. Then they're
Yeah.
great.
Plot armor is just a thing. Because these stormtroopers are supposed to, even in the original trilogy, are supposed to be good shots. You just can't have them kill Luke.
Well, it's just that
or Han
your
or-
heroes are just so good.
Yeah. Yeah,
When
the
they're
Force.
standing completely unprotected on the edge of a cliff over a fucking chasm in the ship,
Yeah.
they're like, "Well, I dodged.
I
Early
we'll
Matrix
get to
work.
that part.
I pulled a fucking Remo Williams."
I've been training for this. I hate that part. We'll get to that.
But it is interesting just to see like there are troops below the stormtroopers
Yes.
which we've never seen before.
yes, this is infantry. This is army.
And he does mention, I guess there was a part that was cut from the movie where he does go to the Imperial Academy and he's going to be a pilot and he gets kicked out.
But he can't
They
follow
turn
the
that all
rules.
into a joke here because towards the end of this segment, they're like, "Well, what are you doing in the mud if you're a pilot?" And he's like, "Well, I got kicked out for thinking for myself."
I mean, I'm guessing that they probably had him try to do some maneuver, and he's like, I can do a better one. And he succeeded, but they're like, yeah, he didn't follow rules.
Yeah, this
Because you
isn't-
are in the Empire. You have to follow rules.
This isn't Star Trek. If you do some
Yeah.
cool shit, you don't get promoted. You
This
get
isn't the
demoted.
rebellion.
Yeah, exactly.
Rebellion will fucking love your maneuvers.
But this is where we meet Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson,
Nice.
who is good in this movie mostly,
Mostly, yeah. I love them.
and could have been much worse because even though I love him as an actor, the other person that was gonna be this character was Christian Bale.
Oof.
Very, very different movie.
Very different movie. Darker.
Not gonna deliver any of the comedic lines.
No.
Not gonna have
Yeah.
dry wit and comedy.
I think this
Yeah, I
is
agree with
where
that.
Lord and Miller come in a little
dry
bit
wit
more.
maybe, but not the comedy.
Because I mean, there are people who do casting, but the directors are obviously involved, and I think this is where Lord and Miller are more involved because they went with Woody Harrelson because they're trying to go with a comedic tone.
A guy that could do both. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Natural
Yes.
Born Killers, and then look at fucking. I
Now,
mean,
don't get me
Cheers.
wrong. I've watched American Psycho and laughed
Look
a
at
lot.
Cowboy Way.
Like
Cowboy
Christian
Way.
Bale delivers lines in a very funny way, but it's a darkly disturbing funny,
Yes. Yeah.
not.
I will
this
say I don't like our
lighthearted-
introduction to Beckett right here because he is shooting a blaster, spinning it, shooting a blaster, spinning it, spinning to shoot. Like, do it, kill 3 people, then spin them.
I've
He is
gotta
doing it to
disagree.
like fucking reload, dude.
I've got to disagree. I like this intro because,
of course you do.
because it explains something about Han too. Because
Flashy.
Han sees this guy come over the hill and he's shooting and he's blasting, and he's flipping, and
Old-timey
he's just
cowboy.
like, look at this fucking badass. I'm gonna follow him to the ends of the earth.
I think there's
You
a
know?
better way to do it instead of like I gotta flip after each shot. Pew, flip, pew, flip, pew, flip. Eventually,
There
you're
is
gonna
a
be
better
flipping
way.
and
You're
You're
someone
just like
shoot
firing
you.
from the hip, left and right. You're just doing a
Yeah.
couple fancy over the
Oh,
head
dude, do a
shots.
no look over the head shot.
I think it's
Bam!
also
But
a part of a
once
joke of like Woody Harrelson isn't that concerned that they're in the middle of this war because it's
Or that he's
it's
like
with
a-
Imperial soldiers, and he's like, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
They're like, they're gonna have my back. Anyone's gonna have my back. We're against Imperial. soldiers
Yeah,
here.
exactly. But he does. They're there to get the AT haulers.
Yeah,
they say, which
exactly.
I'm assuming is like AT and stuff. Hauler,
Could be
like,
ATST,
but
could
they're
be
meant to pick those
AT-AT.
big robots up and drive them
Exactly.
around.
Because how do you get it from Star Destroyer to the planet?
Yeah.
These things.
Okay. And then we also meet. I mean, we meet his whole crew kind of, but the one person we see is Val, who's played
Uh-huh.
by Tandy Newton.
From
From
Westworld.
Westworld.
Westworld is a big one. Mission
how I know
Impossible
her.
2.
Yeah, Westworld is better.
Yes, much better. Mission Impossible 2 is trash.
Yes.
But those are her two like biggest kind of roles.
Mm-hmm.
Even though was she in the first season of Westworld? Or
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
the
I think
second?
so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
she's
yeah.
in the
She's a
first,
big
yeah.
one. And
She was the
she's the
madam.
main madam. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She's a main character in the second season, and that was not.
I
as
think it's
good.
just her
So-
story more, but she's definitely big in the first one. And then you hear John Favreau,
Yeah, and you hear John Favreau, who's playing Rio, who's this little spider monkey.
Ardinian.
Yeah, spider monkey. I
What
said
do you?
what I
What do you?
said.
What,
I mean,
you-
I think
you just hate his
Favreau's-
delivery.
I like his character. I hate his delivery. I like his.
I think his delivery is okay, and I don't really like the character.
Obviously, you've never been to a Minoc roast in Ardinia.
He didn't write the line; he delivered it. I think
did
his
deliver it
delivery is fine.
All right. Well, we're allowed to disagree.
I think his lines are terrible. I think his delivery is fine.
We're allowed to
But
disagree
We also
on it.
saw that in the behind the scenes. It's literally just John Favreau sitting in a chair,
Uh-huh.
probably for like fucking 5 hours.
He's like, dude, if you wheel the microphone right in front of me, I'll do your fucking lines, but I'm not getting up.
he
I'm
was in
not
the middle of
moving.
making that fucking Lion King movie. He's busy.
Ooh, yeah. He could feel the love tonight, just not for this movie.
And I swear to God, there's a thing, and I don't know if anybody else noticed it. They're walking through the trench, and you can hear people talking in the background. I swear to God, a trooper said, "Man, I want to get a beer."
Nice. Okay.
And I doubt it because nobody's ever said beer, but that's what I heard.
But we do get the only mention that I'm aware of Earth alcohol is Woody Harrelson says something about a brandy at
Yeah.
the very end of this
He
movie. And
also,
I'm like,
he also has a weight about a key. He's like 50 keys of this or whatever, which kilos.
Oh, yeah.
He says
so-
keys, and then later Kira says K-grams. I'm like, just
Oh,
say
okay.
it.
dude,
Okay.
come on.
So,
K-gram
but that's
is a
surprising
kilogram,
for
dude.
Star Wars or George
Yeah.
Lucas to like anything.
Well, George Lucas isn't in this. This is done.
but
George
he
Lucas
helped
was
write
there.
This, actually,
Right, but
I
it's not-
believe
but-
he helped
Well,
write it.
no, under the writing credits, he's there, but it's as like creator of
Yes.
the characters.
So it's only
but
based on the.
Because he created Han Solo.
he did
and
show
so
up
on.
to set. Ron Howard told a story about it. He wouldn't specify what the scene was. It's something on the Falcon, but George Lucas showed up kind of
Looking
just to
pretty
see what
good
was
in
going
here.
on, and Ron Howard was having issues with something going on, and George Lucas was like, "Well, here's how I do it." And,
He just double taps the Falcon like the Fonz. Hey.
but he's like, "Here's how I do it," and Ron Howard basically walked into the Falcon set and was like, "Hey guys, this is how George wants to do it, so fucking do that."
But yeah, no, what I mean is like George Lucas had two
He's
things.
executive producer.
He's
Thank
EEP.
you.
He's the EP.
You know what? I just read an article today about how George Lucas. It's like about how he was sad about the way that the sequel trilogy went, and he felt he had lost any control. And I'm like, yeah,
You
that's what $4.5
sold it.
billion is called. It's called
I
you
lost-
don't have control anymore.
I lost control. Yeah, you sold your control, dude.
Yeah, it said that he was really depressed about the way that things went and he couldn't help. And I'm like, well, then don't sell it.
There's a rumor, and I think it's totally false, but there's a rumor that he's going to buy it back from Disney.
Oh God, he can't afford that.
I mean, but the thing is,
No,
he's
he
not the
can't
same.
afford it.
But as Derek
What,
and I
have
have,
you been investing in GameStop, like what are you?
well, he's
you can't
worth
afford this.
he's worth like 5 billion now, 4.9
You can't buy it.
billion. He
Well,
sold
it's got to
it
be
for
worth
2.
more than that. He sold it. Didn't he sell it for 4.5?
I thought he sold it for 2.5.
I thought it was 4.5.
Either
It
way,
might
I
be
don't
4.5. It might be 4.5. But I mean, even if he could afford it, he's not the savior. That
No.
people are like, oh my God, Lucas has it back again.
Oh God, Lucas is back. That means we get more Jar Jar.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget the last time that he fucking wrote, directed, and vehicled.
We can get Jar Jar, and we can get Greedo, and we can get Sebulba.
What do you think Sebulba's up to since the writer's strike?
We can get a bunch of clone troopers who are fully CG with a real person's head
We
stuck
don't even
on
need
them.
actors anymore. I can just do this all on my computer.
You know what? At this point, just do it.
Yeah.
George D.
Just make-
Lucas here.
George Lucas here. Move him right along.
We're recording this on George Lucas's birthday.
Oh yeah, happy 80th on this day.
Is it 80th?
Yeah, today.
Damn.
Fucking Georgie Luke.
But so he realizes that these guys aren't soldiers because Woody Harrelson's armor is full of holes. And so he's like, hey, I want it on your scam and I want to get the fuck out of here. Fuck this place. Because
If
this
you
whole
don't
time,
let me in, I'm gonna blackmail you by telling this guy right here that you're wearing a dead soldier's outfit.
Yeah, well, in this whole time, it's been showing that he's the one going like, but what is our objective? Well, what's the point?
Yeah. if we take this hill, it's like more mud. But yeah, so I like when he does try and blackmail him because Woody Harrelson's wearing a much higher ranking uniform than anybody else, and he calls the lieutenant over, and he's like, "This guy's a deserter
Oh,
and
his
a
is
liar."
higher ranking than the lieutenant, and that's why he calls him over that way. Okay,
He's
I
like,
didn't
"Oh, you're
catch
gonna
that.
tell on me?
I didn't catch that.
You're gonna tell
Okay.
me? Watch this. Hey, lieutenant, this
I thought
guy's
he
a
was just
liar."
like, oh, another officer. I listened to
No,
them.
'cause this guy
But he's like,
salutes
no,
him.
This is a commander.
Yeah, this guy
is-
salutes him. It's like, oh,
Yeah, he's a
oh.
captain.
But
which I
and
would
now we're
guess is
gonna get
higher.
to I think the second cringiest moment for me because he gets thrown into the pit with the Beast, and I'm fine with this.
Oh, is this what, I
because
love all this.
I love all of it until the end. So now it's Chewie. It's fucking Chewbacca. Sadly, not played by Peter Mayhew. Peter Mayhew died shortly after this, so he's just not in good health. You get this giant.
Maybe
I
he
think
would've stayed
There's a
alive
guy,
if he
there's a
would've
guy
been in
named
this.
Junas
Oh, but
Suotamo.
he's very Nordic.
Yeah, Junas, Joonas.
Uh-huh.
oh, Jonas.
I believe it's
oh,
pronounced
okay.
Eunice.
So something right before they get thrown in the pit. Now that I love this because it reminds me. First, I used to read a magazine back in the day that was all Star Wars characters, figures, and then it expanded. It was called Toy Fair. It was a magazine, and it always had stormtroopers or any good character, like any good action figures, and it'd be a comical situation that they're in with blurbs, with like bubbles of
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
saying, and it was funny. But it always had relatable stormtroopers that were talking about everyday stuff. And I was always like, oh my God, the everyday life of a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Their banter, and this is kind of funny. And then Robot Chicken started doing that a lot.
Uh-huh.
So when the moment when they throw him in, they're like, yeah, we haven't fed him for 3 days.
It's gonna be
And-
fun.
Yeah, so it was the most recent.
Kill
and
him
one-
slower.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. The kill him slower line got me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's killing him too fast.
But so the everyday moments of the stormtroopers we don't see very often.
Not at all.
Like maybe
And I do
Lego
like it.
Star Wars type of stuff, but you don't
that's
see it
actually
very
my
often.
favorite part of one of my favorite parts of all the TV stuff, especially like the Mandalorian. Like when you have the
Yeah.
scene where the two stormtroopers are outside that gate.
Uh-huh.
I think it's season 3, maybe season 2, season 3, where they're outside that gate, and it's what Jason Sudeikis. And
No, it's season 1, dude.
Is it
That's
season
when they
1?
get Grogu and Creel dies. Creel
because-
dies.
oh yeah, that's right. Because it's
Oh,
when
it's
it's when
Sudeikis. Sudeikis is one of them.
It's when
They're like-
Tarkin is still in charge of
They're punching the fucking thing. Not Tarkin, Gideon.
Gideon. Sorry, different Moff.
But they're but they're punching. It's like, look inside. You look inside. No, I just want to look at him. Like
And they're
yeah,
trying to
that's-
shoot that can, and they can't shoot it. And he's like, something must be wrong with my blaster.
Yeah, see
like
this. So it's a glimpse of that, which we almost never got, and it's
True.
It's breaking a little bit of convention
because
but
they're
it-
real
it-
people though.
but it
Instead of
works
like,
well.
oh, here's this suit, these 50,000 suits of armor that are nothing. It's like, no. Listen to them talk about their problems.
And I
or
think that evolves from seeing it in parody first, and then
Uh-huh.
when they introduce it like Robot Chicken, and then they start introducing it into Mandalorian.
Isn't
and
there
a couple
something
Yeah.
in one of the original movies where they're like, there's two guards that are sitting there, and one of them says something about like I don't
the
remember now.
TKs.
There might be. And
He's
that
talking,
sounds like,
but it's like it's just an off comment about like this is fucking stupid kind of thing.
And that's
don't
George
remember
Lucas
now.
trying to make it relatable, even
But
though
it's
he's not the
but that's all you
best.
get. Yeah.
No, I like it. I like all that. I even like when Chewie's whooping him. You know what I don't like is when he's shoving his head in the mud and he's about to die, and all of a sudden he goes, and Chewie looks at me. He's like, "Yeah, I speak a little." There isn't. I don't remember what it's from, but there is a fucking episode in the original trilogy, a line where someone says, "We humans can't speak."
We can't vocalize.
The Wookiee language. Oh, it was like Skywook, something like that.
Well, but
We're not supposed to be able to hit that with our vocal cords.
when we do get the subtitles, they're also not good.
Yes, but that
So
is
it's like me trying to speak Japanese.
But it
to
was straight
someone.
up said-
I would be like, the movie we haven't done, but I just watched, like the end of Terminal Velocity. It'd be like Charlie Sheen in Russia, just being like, trying to say thank you to the guy and being
Yeah.
like, the buses are not good here, which is how he says thank
so
you.
Derek's just in
Like,
Japan, like I ship pants and sushi.
I mean-
ship pants and sushi.
But that's different than not actually being able to make those noises. They
Yeah.
have different vocal cords, but
It
it's
is a little
fine.
dumb.
It's they're retconning it.
It's not as bad as the thing that comes at the end. So, like, real quick, I just
especially
want to mention,
because we find out Chewie can understand you this whole time.
yeah.
So anyway,
But I think that helps him like relate. You know, he's like,
Yeah.
no, look, I'm one of you, kind of.
yeah, you're not one of the bad humans.
My balls are really hairy too.
He just shows him his pubes. Look, I'm one of you.
But this guy plays Chewie in all the sequel movies. He also played. I didn't watch the Willow series before they exiled it from Earth.
You're welcome.
But he
Did they
plays the
remove it?
Scourge.
Yeah, you can't find it.
Yeah,
Oh,
they-
okay. The
watched
big
it.
fucker.
Is that I didn't? I don't
Yeah,
know.
the
I
one
just
with
saw
like the
that.
cage on his head. I think it'd have to be. He's the
Hey,
biggest
he was in
one.
he was in like 4 of the 8 episodes, so he's obviously like
I think
a big
the Kasdan
villain.
boys, at least one of them had a big hand in Willow.
Yeah,
Director, maybe
Jonathan
writing.
Kasdan developed
was,
it, yeah.
developed it. Damn.
And that's I mean
And they really
Jack has
canceled it?
told me it's not worth watching and it sucks.
It really
I still
is.
wanna watch
But I
it,
still
though.
would have watched it.
It
we'll,
is-
We'll watch it.
They took it away. I'll find it on the internet.
Then
It
Vinegar
is
syndrome,
an
get it.
insult.
Derek.
It is an insult to a fandom. I mean it. Like
Hey,
it's a slap
that's not
in
the only
fucking
person
face.
from the Willow series in this movie, though.
No, Willow's in here.
Willow's in here,
Warwick
but
Davis is-
so is one of the main characters.
Oh yeah, yeah.
she
Enfys
plays
Nest.
Enfys Nest.
Val Kilmer?
No, he wasn't even in the fucking Willow
well,
series.
by the time that came around, he was not. I mean, did you guys watch Top Gun Maverick?
yeah.
Val Kilmer. I mean, I
Yeah, he
appreciate.
was all
I
AI
appreciate.
in that. I could tell.
He was there. But I appreciate them giving him like respect, but like you shouldn't have made him get out of bed for that.
No.
He's not doing well.
No.
Don't put him next to Tom Cruise, dude. That guy's a vampire.
That's actually kind of funny. Just a quick segue about
He
that.
is a vampire.
A lot of people were mad that they didn't bring back the girl from
Kelly
the original.
Gillis.
Is it Kelly Gillis?
Kelly Gillis or McGillis.
Like
They're
McGillis.
they're mad they didn't bring her back. But then I saw a thing that was like, well, here's Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Here's Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick. Here's Kelly McGillis in Top Gun. Here's Kelly McGillis now, and she looks like my 4th grade drama teacher.
Yeah, she didn't have that
And,
Scientology
and it's not,
money.
and it's not me disparaging her.
No,
It's
she
been,
aged
it's
naturally.
Been 40 years. She aged like a person who aged 40 years.
yeah,
They brought in Jennifer Connelly, who is also a vampire.
she is of the
Yeah.
vampiric strain.
Wow.
Kill him slower. I did like the line. Just kill him too quick. It was just getting good. Yeah, kill him slower.
So this is Han's idea, though.
Well, during this thing, I just want to mention because it's hilarious. We kind of mentioned it at the beginning, but he's trying to provoke Chewbacca, and so he's like, "Come on, you mangy Kashyyykian moof milker."
Move.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds incredibly vulgar.
And it kind of
Moof
sets off
milker's good.
Chewie. He's like, "Did you fucking call me a moof milker?"
I'll milk your
That's
moof,
the
you
pillar then,
motherfucker. Like,
yeah, yeah. Don't call me that. My mom was a moof milker.
that's worse than a scruffy nerf herder.
Who you calling Scruffy?
Gruffy.
Yeah, dang Ferrick. He doesn't like it.
They have this plan, kind of. Chewie basically hits this pole that's breaking, and it collapses the cell that they're in.
I like how Han gets out of here. Chewie throws him.
Yeah.
Up and over.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
It looks like Raising Arizona. We're like out of the dirt and plop onto.
I did like the fight scene too. Like just to glance over one more time, like when he's picking up Han before they start communicating, he's picking him up and throwing him.
Yeah.
like it's a good looking fight scene and it's practical.
Yeah, there's a dude being picked
Mostly.
up and thrown.
Yeah, yeah.
That Nordic dude is.
So, but now they're out.
swinging.
Chewie wants to leave, but Han's like, no. My really good friends are waiting for me over here. And they get there and they're taking off, and he's like, oh, your friends, huh?
Yeah.
But it works on Beckett.
It's Rio first. Rio,
yeah.
I think, convinces Beckett because he's
You've
like, we
never-
could use
was
some
Favreau.
muscle.
And also, you've never been more comfortable than curled up on a Wookiee's lap taking a nap.
Yeah,
I
and
believe it,
When he
dude.
said that line, I looked at the other
You're
two
brushing
people.
his hair, but you're in his lap.
I looked at the other two people on the ship, and I was like, neither one of these people is curling up in that Wookiee's lap. But I get what you're saying.
I would try. I would try. I'm only 6'2".
A Wookiee.
A Wookiee.
A Wookiee.
But yeah, they do end up coming back down to pick them up. He's like, see, I told you, best friends.
Best friends forever.
But there's a little quick like them bonding scene, but it's one of those things that's like here's an explanation for something you didn't need. Because he's like, hey, what's your name? And, and he's like, oh, Chewbacca? I can't say that every time. Looks like you need a nickname.
Chewie.
I didn't hate it.
You know what? But you know
because
what?
where
Really?
does the nickname come from?
And he
It comes
fucking
from a
sort of,
nickname.
and he's sort of saying someone's name over and over. Rye.
Yeah, but who gave it to him?
I did
But
Rye.
who gave it to him?
I did Rye.
Han gave him the nickname.
I
That's
just-
why it's important.
All
But I
right.
just never-
agree. I agree.
I am Groot.
I
am
Groot.
But I
I was
just
thinking
never.
about the Minions series. Thank you.
I grew up watching these movies and never once went, well, I wonder how he came up with Chewie from Chewbacca.
I
I
also would
didn't
have.
know I needed to know it, but I did.
I also
Alright?
would have liked it if it was more time. It's like, my name's Chewbacca. Can't say that all the time. It's been once. Like, give it some years, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what?
A second time,
Chewie.
maybe we have to give you a nickname, and
Yeah.
then
Well,
a third.
And
it's
you know
just
what?
so
I don't
quick.
mind. I don't mind him saying like, "Hey, my name's Chewbacca." He's like, "Cool, Chewbacca," and later on he calls him Chewie, and he just responds, "Cool."
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have a friend named fucking Jonathan, and later on you're like, "Hey, John." If he's like, "I don't like John," you're like, "Cool, Jonathan." But if you're like, "Hey, Chewie," and he's like, "What's up?" then you're like, "Cool, Chewie's fine." Then there doesn't need to be the line explaining like, "I'm gonna have to find you a nickname."
But see, those are the in betweens for me too, where you were like, I don't know how I feel about this. If
Yeah.
this feels congruent as like an old school Star Wars fan or not. But I was like, yes, no.
You
yes.
also have a child, and you are used to. You've had to watch things that Derek and I haven't had to.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
stupid jokes. You're like, "Fuck, that's painful." So this comes along. You're like, it's not that
Because
bad.
it's good enough for the adults and it's good for the kids.
What
I
you're
guess.
saying is
right.
he's been conditioned by torture.
What I'm saying is, don't have kids.
Disney.
I'm saying don't have kids. That's my whole point.
He's like,
Die
"Look,
alone.
Can we build it? Yes, we can, but I don't need to know that.
So now they're planning their heist. They're all getting Mini Coopers. Nope, that's Italian Job. Sorry.
By the way, these mountains that they're in. This whole thing, even though obviously the train. And
We're
whatnot
skipping
is
one
CG,
quick scene though.
Go for
Han
it.
gets his gun, the DL-44.
Well, that's
modified
when they get.
blaster.
That's once they get to the mountains. I'm not even talking about the actual mission
Oh, I thought you
yet.
meant the
but
snow-
just
the
the
s-
mountains in general. This is somewhere in Europe, and I can't remember what mountain range they said it was now. But they really took all these fucking people up there. And they
Good.
were like, we built a road as far as we could go, and then we got helicopters to bring everything the rest of the way up.
Oh,
so they're
man.
really up in some crazy ass fucking mountains.
That's fucking
And I wish
awesome.
I
Like
could
Swiss
remember
Alps
which
type of.
Yeah, I wish I could
up
remember what
in-
mountains they said, but so they're really in the mountains. They're really in the snow.
The Adirondack. What's it called?
No, that's here.
Oh, that is here?
Adirondack.
Yeah,
Adirondack,
Alps
yeah.
would be one in Europe, but there's
It's part of. It's a big mountain range up there, but it wasn't the Alps because it was a name I had heard, but I didn't remember like specifically.
Not
it
as
doesn't matter.
common as the Alps,
But it's real mountains.
but it's beautiful.
it is.
Oh, but yes, when they're sitting around having their little powwow around the fire,
Get to know the team. What
This is another
brings you
thing we
here?
didn't necessarily need, but they also don't force feed it, so it doesn't feel as bad. Is Woody Harrelson taking apart this sniper rifle and turning it into a blaster and tossing it to Han?
Now it's my turn. I like it.
yeah.
I'm fine with it because it shows the utility of this gun. You could use a long range sniper, but that's not what you need. That's not what Han needs. Han needs an up close, twirly.
Beckett can just do this though.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Beckett
impressive.
breaking it down is dope.
And
Break it,
yeah,
break it
I'm
down.
okay
Break
with
it
this
down.
one too because, like I said, it doesn't force feed it. It's not like you can't use this sniper rifle. Let me make you a blaster. That'll be, he's just kind of does it during conversation and then tosses him a blaster.
Kisses it first.
He does kiss
Kisses it.
Yeah, that's not holding your hand all the way through what's happening.
Exactly. He's
It's
just doing it during conversation.
show me, not tell me type of shit.
Then we get to the train heist, which is my favorite part of the movie.
Okay.
I don't, whatever. I mean, there's two really big action set pieces. There's a lot of action set pieces, but there's two really big ones. There's this, and then there's the Kessel Run.
This looks very Star Wars.
This is fucking great because it looks very Star Wars, but it also has that classic action movie, like Western kind of feel.
Which I think a good Star Wars
Train.
moment
Yeah.
should. A good Star Wars moment should remind you, or at least let you insight into what these directors or cinematographers are into.
A good Boba Fett one does a train scene.
Yeah,
not
and
in the snow,
the train
obviously,
scene
but
is great in fucking Book of Boba Fett,
yeah,
which is a
maybe
mediocre
one of the best
series.
scenes of that of that.
They
series.
they
Oh, it
they
is.
specifically mentioned Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid for this one. Like
Uh-huh.
they went back and looked at movies and they were like, "What's the part that gets everybody?" And it's the train heist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're calling out things we like. This is a
Yeah.
great fucking scene. This is a
I
scene
loved
to like.
everything we're talking about now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't dislove it. I'm just gonna have to poke holes. I have to.
And I'm not gonna go through the whole train scene. Obviously, it's cool. Like the stormtrooper guys have like their magnet boots, and they're trying to basically like they're
Did
trying
you
to
see
steal
the
this
first one get
car.
shot and his boots stay magnetized and he just falls down?
Yeah.
I was like, that's a cool fucking detail because like that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
You would just have a body flailing about in fucking wind stuck by its
Stuck to
feet.
the side of a
Somebody's
metal
watching that like, I want to advertise land speeders with that. It's the waving, flailing, inflatable arm flailing wacky
You know
man.
what? That's where the wacky wavy inflatable arm flailing
It was
tube
a
man
galaxy
came from.
far
It
far
was-
away a
yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, it was a
so-
long time ago.
So I
That's where
mean,
they
you
got the
know,
idea.
copyright. Lando Calrissian.
They owe money to fucking Beckett.
Yeah.
Well, not
and
Val. Well, not Beckett either.
Dryden Voss.
They owed money to Han Solo. I think he's the only one left.
Yeah, no, it's a cool scene, and like it's man, it falls apart quick. I have a little bit of a qualm with. I guess they're just desperate. They have to do it because now you got Val who's pinned down, and even she's like, "You got to finish the job without me, babe," and blows herself to Kingdom Come.
Because the which I just learned their
Heroic
name during
moment.
this movie, the
Lovely
Viper
Viper droids.
which are from episode 5.
There
right?
are
They're-
also probe droids. Viper droids are much more fit to destroy. The probe droid that we see in episode
Information
5,
collector.
exactly.
okay.
It
These
can-
look
it
like the
can-
same droids.
It's the same body type.
Okay.
And it can. The probe droids can mess you up, but the Viper droid is like, I'm going to fuck you up.
It's got
Like,
more guns.
It's got like a
Yes,
vibro
yes.
blade on it, and
It
a
probably
crazy
does.
dildo that turns you on.
the
I'm gonna
Viper.
fuck you to death.
The Viper droid is the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of the probe droid.
Exactly. The
Got it.
probe droid is like
The probe droid is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop.
Is
the
Danny
Viper
DeVito.
droid is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
no, they're twins. One is the probe droid is Danny DeVito. The Viper droid is we came from the same factory. They put all the good parts in
we
me.
came
You got
from
the
the same
leftovers.
cup of semen.
You are barely lucky you worked. 12 guys came in the machine.
Did you say cup
came
of
out.
semen, Arnold? I did.
I did the cup of
And
semen.
I will be Junior, and I will birth all these
That probably also.
droids of both descent that Danny DeVito.
I haven't
don't
seen
need
Junior in
to.
a long time, but I'm going to say it probably also involves a cup of semen.
Probably.
All I know is I've watched Twins somewhat recently, and that definitely involves 5 dudes jerking off into a cup.
Yeah, it's a weird night.
Sign me up.
Weird Saturday. Well, we got 3 here. But yeah, it's that their back is to the
2
wall.
of us have no kids, so we might not want all of us jerking off into this cup. It's useless.
I ate a lot of hot Cheetos and drank Mountain Dew, shooting blanks, man.
Hey, Mountain Dew isn't what's doing it because my family from Ohio all live off Mountain Dew.
No,
And
it's Mountain Dew and hot Cheetos together.
Okay, because people always said Mountain Dew, the yellow number 5 makes you
It's
impotent.
red 5 and yellow number 4, and when they're mixed together, god damn it.
Yeah, whatever the
You get
whatever
West
the
Virginia.
whatever the yellow is, they're like it makes you impotent, and I'm like, well, I have 2 uncles who have one night stand children, and all
Yeah.
they drank was Mountain Dew.
Maybe
so.
they were saying it makes you omnipotent.
It makes you
I'm omnipotent.
It makes you God if you drink enough Mountain Dew.
I drink enough Mountain Dew and I'm all knowing.
But during this whole thing, Enfys Nest shows up.
Yes, with the Marauders. I love this. The design of these they're not speeders
I
because
like
they're
them.
airborne.
Yeah.
You know, they're not like the land speeders
Yeah,
that we
whatever
see.
these fucking jet.
These are the equivalent of motorcycles, but not. These are air motorcycles. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I love it. I love Enfys Nest design. From the helmet to because she jumps on the train. Sorry, it's a girl.
Yeah.
It's-
And we'll get to who
Yeah.
it is later.
Spoiler. Yeah,
I'll
it's-
save that for the end, but you've probably seen this. I
Yeah,
don't know.
probably. If you haven't, just
It is a pretty late new plot point, though. Like, here, let's just throw this
Well, it's
in.
a last
I
minute.
think-
It's a last minute twist.
it
gives you
reminds me
something.
very much
It's a
of
Ron Howard
Princess
twist.
Leia in Episode 6. You know, like the bounty
Okay.
hunter, more disguise and whatnot, but it's very bounty hunter like.
It's like,
has
here's
that
a whole new, here's
yeah.
a sub story we can
like,
tell
oh shit,
during
it's a
this.
girl and a girl can be badass.
And that too.
The mask and the ship or the speeder thingy
Uh-huh.
are really cool.
Yes.
And
I like the fins that she deploys when Beckett's shooting, and you know, because like she doesn't have a gun, she's got a fucking staff, a badass staff. So when he's shooting, she props up these fins on her arms to block the fucking blasters and get up close. Like it's a cool little quick scene.
the jumping across, like that's a big jump.
Yeah,
Like she's probably enhanced by whatever gear she's wearing.
I'm
It's not
assuming
her,
so.
but like it's a big fucking jump, and it's like it's really cool jumping back and forth. I mean, and again, it's the train heist scene, right? It's jumping from the horse to the train.
Yep.
That whole thing. You just got to make the horses fly.
Yeah, no, it's cool. We like this.
And during this whole thing, yeah, Val gets pinned down. Rio gets shot because
Ryan
Rio,
was so happy.
Rio, what's
John
it called?
Favreau's out of this
What's
movie.
it called? An
Everybody.
Aldinian?
I need a
Aldinian,
pilot,
yeah.
damn it, not a comedian that sucks. Fuck.
The Aldinians have like 6 arms.
How'd you lose a
right?
shootout with extra guns, by the way? You got these extra arms, you lose a
Well,
fucking
because he's also
shootout.
flying a fucking thing trying to keep up with a train.
Cool. 2 of the
Okay,
arms
so what's
fly,
his
4 of the
race?
arms Aldinian.
But he's still- he's only got
missed
2 eyes.
Aldinian. So at one point, when Han met him, he was like, "Oh, you're just an Aldinian with a couple arms shoved up, like from your-
Yeah.
Yeah, because he
right out of your
mentions, he's
ass."
like, I saw your extra arms come out and pull up your
and
pants.
that is Jon Favreau's character. But-
Hey, you know what?
Sorry.
That's not the last character Jon Favreau's played
Uh-uh.
in the Star Wars universe.
I'm sure he did
aside
good
from
in
doing
any of the
aside from
series.
doing
In
a bunch of
Mandalorian,
aside
he's
of
Paz Vizsla.
making
Oh,
the
yeah,
Mandalorian
yeah.
stuff, but
Oh,
Paz
great, man.
Vizsla is fucking.
But it's not
awesome.
his body, just his voice. Again.
Yeah,
but,
again,
but good voice,
Great voice.
and just good context.
Because it's
'Cause
it's
I
his
felt-
project.
yeah.
He's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna give my all.
and that's why I was insulting his portrayal of this. I was like, well, I know he's done some stuff.
I
with
know
Star
you're
Wars
capable,
first,
so
and-
do
yeah.
it. I do like that we get to see because Han now takes over for flying, and he's like, "Oh man, he is a hell of a pilot."
Yeah. Which I mean, at this point, it's like you are a great pilot, and I'm like, why? Because he made the plane go forward.
It's a very Willow moment. You are a great swordsman. Maybe these things are hard as shit to fly.
And you know what? He is a great pilot. We see it throughout this movie, and
Oh, yeah.
we see it throughout the entire saga. But
Oh, yeah.
at this point, he's like, well, you went forward. That's pretty cool.
I mean, there's a
I mean,
bunch
he
of
is
switches
keeping
you
up-
have
he
to
is
hit.
keeping above this train
To
and
get
stuff,
higher,
so-
down means up. You nailed it.
Got it.
But yeah, Rio dies. Val blows herself up. Chewie gets this fucking.
Val blows herself up.
By the
Oh
way-
my god, I'm crying. I'm hurting.
I just met her.
You know what? And there is a moment here, and there's another one later where it's like it's supposed to be tension, but you're like, well, there's no tension because I know Chewie's alive.
We know who can't
Chewie's
die.
hanging off the train, and Han's trying to pull him up, and he pulls him up at the last second before a rock decapitates him, and you're like, well, duh.
Let me ask you this: is this where Chewie or Han earned the life debt?
The life
That
debt
might
was,
be. It might just be helping him escape
The
that
life
fucking
debt was
prison.
the escape.
I feel like he was ready to leave him anyway, though. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
The
It
life
doesn't
debt,
matter,
I think, was
yeah.
the
It could even be later in the Kessel Mines.
Yeah, it could be something we
There's a-
haven't even heard yet.
Yeah.
It could be something that's not in this movie because they don't say life debt.
when he earned the life debt.
I have it written down here in my journal.
I wrote this in 1923
It's
before I was
dated
born.
1923. Yep, exactly.
The day I was born, I thought of Chewbacca.
Chewbacca is actually my
I used
first
to
words.
say Chewie, 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 and I reverse engineered.
The fucked up thing is I started laughing and almost did. I was like, Han, they get the one cart they need, whatever, from the train, but Enfys Nest and her people are still attached to it.
We can just say her now. We know.
Yeah, her people are still
Spoiled it.
attached to it,
Yeah,
and
fucked it up.
Han ends up dropping it. Chewie saves Beckett.
Han has to drop it, by the way.
He has to, because otherwise they're all gonna die. And Beckett calls him a coward.
It shows the back to the wall because now Beckett knows, like, we are fucked.
And this explosion is fucking cool. And
I love this explosion followed by implosion.
I
They
think my
got-
wife
they
was
got
talking during
this.
this one.
Okay.
they got this from doing like explosions with like firecrackers underwater.
Oh, dope.
So it's
So
a
it
real
goes-
explosion.
it goes
So
out.
some Rocky Point type of shit. I know what this is like.
It goes out like a normal explosion, but then it goes in on itself,
implodes
and everything
too.
that was in there is just gone. So a big third of this mountain is just gone now.
just collapses.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic looking. The effects are cool. Now I know why. Derek's telling me about the underwater thing. That
yeah.
was
So
news to
it's
me.
not completely designed in the computer. You know, obviously they had to do some work, but so they get to Dryden Voss's ship, his yacht. I think
Yeah.
it's referred to as.
I mean, it is a fucking yacht.
This yacht.
this thing is
Can we pour a
fucking
shot
insane.
for this yacht?
And I'm
We
pretty
shot,
sure
dude,
when-
you want to do a yacht shot?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure when it pulls up, there's like they see it.
Was it
and
Chris
Chewie-
Cross playing in the background?
No, but Chewie makes a some kind of comment that we don't understand because
It's,
he's
"I'm
not
on a boat,
subtitled
bitch,"
here, and I'm
actually.
pretty sure it's how small is that guy's dick?
What?
No, Chewie looked over at Han's like, $5. He's got Steve Winwood playing inside. 5 Republic credits, dude.
Because this ship is ridiculous. This thing is fucking massive.
I
The
mean, it's
skyscraper that
hey,
can also fly.
You play Starfield.
Yeah.
I built a ship with everything I ever needed, so I don't have to leave it.
I missed that it was floating. I thought it was like, floating city type of a structural thing. It's
I mean,
just a straight up
floating
ship.
city might be closer to yacht than yacht is.
We only really ever see the one floor or 2 floors maybe because
Yeah.
his office might be on a separate floor from the party
Dude, his
room.
fucking what do you call it? Treasure room, trophy room.
Oh, Jack
With-
was
with-
probably
with
just
all
picking
the-
out. You were
holy
picking out
shit.
shit.
With all the Indiana Jones shit in it.
No,
It has all
It
of
had
the
the
stuff from
crystal
Indiana
skull?
Jones in it.
the crystal skulls from the
No
expanded
way.
universe.
No, but it also it's got like the little idol and stuff on his
Okay.
like trophy shelves.
There's
and
a
it's on
bun-
the same shelf where the crystal skull is. And at the end of the movie, Han, when they're having a shootout, shoots the crystal skull, and I was like, "Is that like a subtle go fuck yourself crystal skull?"
It might be because I didn't recognize it, so I thought it was that, but I looked it up and it's definitely from the EU. Some of this shit I recognized, other ones were deeper cuts than I'll ever fucking get into.
I mean,
Actually,
obviously, there's Mandalorian armor in
Yes,
there.
the Mandalorian, which is like a rally guard because it's such an ancient one. That is an old school, thousands of years ago Mandalorian armor that would be like you having samurai armor. Like, damn, Derek, you cultured as fuck.
Damn, Derek.
But
Damn,
there was
Daniel.
definitely like the little, the statue he takes from the thing with the
Okay.
with the bag of sand, and there
Bag
was
of
the
sand?
Jack was just only pulling out like Jedi artifacts. He
No,
was
yeah,
My
there's
brain was
ignoring-
like, that's no other franchise.
Yeah.
Moving along.
It's all. I mean, it's all
That's a
Harrison
Spielberg
Ford.
trope.
Yeah.
Get out of
Yeah.
here.
It's all.
No.
Harrison.
I did
George
enjoy.
Lucas produced those movies.
Yep,
Come on.
yes,
I
he
did enjoy.
Lawrence Kasdan wrote. I don't know.
At
he
least
probably
Raiders.
Wrote 'em, right?
He wrote Raiders.
He wrote Raiders.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
his
enjoyed
first,
going through
okay,
it.
crazy thing when I was looking him up today. First was Empire on writing.
Yeah,
credits.
his first writing credit was Empire.
Wow,
That's
way
pretty
to go!
surprising, right?
Like you just peaked.
One of the best movies.
Yeah,
of a
you can't
franchise
start
that
at
we
Empire.
love.
That's like I lost my virginity to a porn star and I lasted an hour and a half. And I haven't gone back. So, like I went to a hooker and she gave me my money back and said, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
You know what? You're good. My pimp won't even notice I was gone.
My pimp wants to say thank you. He gave you this
my
card.
pimp is Kermit the Frog,
My pimp-
aka.
My pimp wants to know if you'll represent him.
Oh no, George Lucas ain't giving that money back. No, he can't have his money back. I don't give a fuck if it was 30 seconds.
Bitch better have my money. You better have an hour's worth. We're like lawyers. We charge by the hour, bitch. Don't make old G Lucas come after you. I put the G in George. Bitch.
But this is, Crimson Dawn, right? I mean, this is at least the arm we see of Crimson Dawn. I
Yeah.
feel like he's most of Crimson Dawn,
So the head of Crimson Dawn is Darth Maul at this
which
point.
we see later on in the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
But like, I feel like once this is gone, it's like, well, Crimson Dawn is no longer a thing.
No, think of
Or this movie just did so poorly that
think of mafia, like family mafia. Like you got capos.
Yeah.
Right, where Darth Maul's the top fucking godfather, and then you got
Oh,
five
spoiler
capos.
alert, by the
So
way.
he
Yes.
he runs all.
Well, I'm
the
going
plan-
from.
So,
Dude,
like
watch the fucking movie before you listen. God damn it.
So galactic crime lords. He's
Yeah.
kind of the run.
Well, there's 5 syndicates. I can name you 3 of them off the top of my head. Pike Syndicate, we see Crimson Dawn, who's here, and the Black Suns, who are like space Chinese triad.
Well, the Huts, right? Are
The Huts, I guess the Huts are
Okay, the
another big
Hutts
one.
are.
And who would the 5th be? I can't think of. But Darth Maul at one
I don't know,
point.
the Pikes are
in-
the one I hear mentioned the most.
Yes, because they control the
The
spice.
Huts are what I
Okay.
hear mentioned most because I watch the live action. So.
The Huts
even,
also
even in
control
the
some
even in
spice.
the like in Boba Fett and stuff, they talk about the Pikes a lot because they're the rivals to the Huts.
I think that was them trying to get away from the Huts a little bit. Like the EU has all those names in there, and it's like, well, let's go with Pikes because we've already written about
Yeah,
the Huts
let's
a
expand a
bunch.
little more.
You've seen the Huts. Let's show you Pikes. Show me Pikes. But yeah, at one point in the Darth Maul or the Clone Wars cartoon, Darth Maul has control of almost all these syndicates.
well,
so
I
so
mean,
he
maybe
is
there was
kind of
going to
the
be
capo.
more.
he's
Crimson-
trying to make a shadow.
But he's still Imperial at this point. He's obviously Imperial at this point.
Who,
or not?
Darth?
Yeah.
not
No.
anymore.
Oh,
this
he's
is
okay.
after,
So it's just.
this is after
this-
he's been cut in half and reassembled.
Oh, this is.
Did he have
after.
spider legs on the
Yes.
theatrical?
Sorry, this is
No,
after.
not theatrical.
Okay, 'cause he
he
doesn't
gets
have them
spider
here.
legs. Okay, real quick.
So, yeah.
He gets cut in half and he gets put on a trash planet where his hate keeps him alive, and his hate and his he's got.
He didn't have any food to eat. Just
Well,
used
no, he
fuels
eats
I
he
hate.
eats people, but the Iridonians have extra organs that help him stay alive. But he gathers with the Force a bunch of metal and makes spider abdomen for his lower half. Then his brother, voiced by Clancy Brown, Savage Opress, finds him, brings him back to Dathomir. The Night Sisters give him Lieutenant Dan magic legs. Literally.
They look real good.
Literally robot magic legs.
When this movie ended, when I saw it in theaters, the first thing I did was text Jack. Whitney and I were leaving. We were at Roadhouse, and we weren't even in the car yet. And I was like, where the fuck did Darth Maul come from?
Because it fucks up. If you don't watch the Clone Wars, it fucks up your idea of the
'cause
timeline.
I was like, this movie happened after episode 1, right?
Yeah.
And he's
You're
like,
why is he
yeah,
alive?
he had spider legs. Don't worry about it. It was basically his response. And I'm like,
well, because I know
got
he's
it.
not going to watch Clone Wars.
And I was just like, cool, got it. Like, well, as a comic book reader and also as just a science fiction fan in general, you can be like, he didn't die, he had spider legs. I'm like, cool. Thumbs
Science.
up.
Science. Yeah, he wasn't the only person to text me. Everyone's like, I thought I understood where this was in the timeline, because they do a deliberate thing of like, look at, he has a whole body now. So
Yeah. Because you see him
But
stand
it
up.
starts at the spider legs metal.
Yeah, and I couldn't
accumulating.
remember because I saw him stand up today when I was watching it and a couple weeks ago with the full legs. And I was like, wait, did he have spider legs in the original, like the theatrical, and they changed it because that's what they like to do? But I couldn't remember if that was just me thinking that or Jack telling me
no,
that he had
yeah,
spider legs.
we've never seen that in live action, and we probably won't. I don't know.
The reason I feel like Crimson Dawn is basically Darth Maul and then Dryden Voss. So if Dryden Voss is gone, Crimson Dawn is gone, is because we haven't seen anything else. But I feel like we were supposed to see other stuff, but this movie didn't do that well.
Oh, for sure.
Probably because it cost $275 million to make, and it's probably because they had to shoot it twice.
Yes.
And-
Since we've jumped ahead already, I think we were going to get a Darth Maul whole fucking spinoff, because why else would you not bring back the original voice actor? You have now Sam Witwer.
So
who's
I read in the trivia, IMDb, which take it as you will.
Yeah, I will.
But it's according to Peter Serafinowicz himself,
The original voice
who
actor,
voiced
by the way.
Darth Maul in the original. He recorded lines for Darth Maul,
oh,
but then they ended up having Sam Witwer do it because they were like, oh, well, for continuity's sake, because most of the people watching this are more versed with Clone Wars and stuff. Sam Witwer plays Darth Maul in the Clone Wars and Rebels and whatever else.
yes. And actually, he fucking owns that voice.
I think he's better, and I really like Peter Serafinowicz. I mean, the live action roles I've seen him in, which are like the Edgar Wright movies he's been in, and
Oh,
The
because
Tick.
wait, you would know him. He is the roommate in Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's who the original
he's-
voice of Darth Maul is.
yeah,
Really?
yeah, and he was the Tick in the newer Tick, and he's been in a bunch of stuff like that. But like Sam
Witwer.
Witwer, you might not know. I don't know if either of you guys ever watched any of the CW, like DC stuff.
No.
There's
he
no
was-
chance Ryan's
I
going
don't
to know
watch any
this.
comic book
I know what
stuff.
this guy's from, and Ryan's not going to know him
He was
from.
in. I want to say it was Supergirl. It might have been one of the other ones. He was basically playing like a alt-right, like QAnon villain.
All right. He was also in a American remake of Being Human, which is a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost all living as roommates.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, I know the show. I've never
Yeah.
watched it. But I know there
And
was a
he's
British
been on
version
he's
and
been
an
on our
American.
Made Feed podcast before. He was a mad scientist in Officer Down.
That's right. He was the guy that brought the souls back or whatever.
Yeah. However that science works. But so we're
Go
getting
back
way
and listen to Officer Down.
we
on
went
Bad
way
Movies
ahead,
vs.
but it just
People.
means that when we get to the Darth Maul part, we don't have to talk about it nearly as
Yeah.
fucking much.
I don't remember it because
yeah, this-
my wife was talking during it. So it's
Thanks
fine.
a lot.
This movie cost $275 million and made $392 million worldwide, which is $392 million sounds like a lot of money,
But
but when it's only less than $120 million more than what you spent,
it's probably the biggest Star Wars theatrical flop, right? And flop's a tough word to say.
I don't have the numbers,
But so it
for
made
all of
more
them,
than
but
it lost.
it's definitely
so it's
one
not
of
a flop.
well, it's definitely
it's
one
for
of them
them.
because when they
It's
the
their
budget
flop.
the budget doesn't include marketing.
Okay, so then marketing is huge.
Yeah.
Marketing's like $500 million.
I mean,
like
in
500 million.
North America, U.S. and Canada, this movie only made $213 million.
That's small.
So
for
that's
this
less
type
than the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worldwide, it did make the budget back, but I mean,
I dare say that's never happened to Star Wars that America didn't make their money back.
On
just
a
on
feature
US
film?
Canada.
But this one was plagued by things like you said, the fatigue of
Fatigue
having
was
the,
real
the
at this
prequels
point.
already, and then on top of that, it was highly publicized that they had changed the directors and all that stuff. It was so I think that led a lot of people to just be like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Most Star Wars fans where I was sitting was like, we don't need this movie. And when I finally watched it, I was like, okay, we don't need it, but it exists. so I'm gonna try and enjoy what I can.
You know, when I first heard
I
about
love it
it,
now.
I was
Yeah,
I
I'm
You
was
guys
glad.
are wrong.
when I
I
first-
didn't say I didn't love it.
I love it.
when I first heard about
We'll get
the
there.
movie, I was like, that was my kind of reaction. I was like, well, it's not necessary, but it could be cool.
Yeah.
But then there's just so much behind the scenes turmoil. It's like, well, you know, this is going to end up being super Disney-fied.
For all that turmoil, it's a phenomenal movie. With that being said, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say it's a phenomenal movie all over, but like with what
Imagine
you-
if I saw this instead of Phantom Menace, I'd be enthralled. And
if this is your first.
not that I don't like Phantom Menace, because I
Right.
do, but I'd be enthralled if this was my introduction past the original trilogy. I'd be feeling good.
Well, and there are kids who are, 10, 11 years old now, who this is what was one of their first Star Wars movies, and they probably love it.
I got a nephew whose first Star Wars movie was Episode 7, and he looks at the sequel trilogy way different than we do.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren is
my
like his
my
favorite
daughter
fucking
pretty much
character.
is
Yeah,
episode
you know
7
what?
for
And
her,
that's
but I
one of
showed
the
her the old
reasons-
ones when she was younger.
That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I'm not going to hate too much on the sequel trilogy other than Episode 9, because same as the prequel trilogy, we all watched it and went, well, that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And then years later, you're like, well, I get it now. It takes me some time,
Yeah.
but it was for a different generation of kids. In 10, 15 years, the sequel trilogy is probably going to be treated somewhat the same.
Well, and also, much like what happened with Dave Filoni doing the Clone Wars cartoon and filling in blanks and making that prequel trilogy loving, now you got Mandalorian and Ahsoka and what just wrapped up that you guys, Bad Batch, they are plugging in holes. Like, Bad Batch had a whole plot line called Project Necromancer that was about giving the Emperor a way to come back. So
Okay.
instead of somehow the Emperor came back, it's like, well, here's how. So
somehow in the cartoon,
somehow you have to watch another fucking cartoon.
And
somehow
here's how it plugs
you
in.
have to read a comic book.
and like I appreciate people
Somehow.
filling in holes, but it is
Yeah,
that
you do.
thing of like non-sexually. I also appreciate it sexually, but and this is coming from a person who has read like prequel comic books for movies. I mean, we discussed on Bad Movies Worst People, we did the movie Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
One of that director's other big movies was Southland Tales, and that movie barely makes sense. It makes a little bit more sense if you read the prequel comic book trilogy that came out. But you shouldn't have to read something else or watch something else for your movie.
No,
to
it
make
should just be
sense.
that. It should be ancillary. It should be like it's extra. It
Well,
doesn't.
yeah.
Jack had a thing before I watched, I think, season 3 of Mando. He's like, finish up. I don't know
Boba
if it's
Fett.
Boba.
Boba
He was
Fett.
like, finish up Boba because that's the intro.
Yep.
And I agree, you shouldn't have to.
So
watch
spoilers
this.
for that because I'm
Yeah.
good at spoiling stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't watch Boba Fett, you don't know how Grogu got back. You're just like, what the fuck is he doing?
And
here?
that's slightly different in that they're all like Disney Plus shows. So if you're watching
is slightly
Mandalorian, you're
different.
probably watching Boba Fett, but it's not that different because you're right. I mean, and if you're watching a trilogy of movies, like if I just jumped in and watched Empire Strikes Back,
You don't want
and
to
I'd never seen anything, I'd be a little confused, but I would get it.
You're not going to know what happens in Beverly Hills Cop 3 unless you watch Pluto Nash. Like, it's just, you have to watch another.
Well,
Bad example, but-
no, good example.
Well, Pluto
Beverly
Nash
Hills,
3 is a better movie, so you guys don't know.
I was gonna say Beverly Hills Cop 3 might be worse than Pluto Nash. So
Not according to this fucking guy.
Beverly Hills Cop 3 is
It might be my favorite Beverly Hills Cop.
He
And
has
I've
said
watched
this with a
one.
straight face so many times to my fucking face, Derek.
It's not a better movie. It's-
But he likes
so
it
then they
more.
go to a sexy cocktail party.
Ooh, the sexy of
Sexy
We're gonna move
cocktail
on.
party.
We're gonna move on from that. There's a good place to end that. This has been coverage of our first half of Solo, a Star Wars story. Tune in next week and you can hear our coverage of the last 2 episodes of The Acolyte. And in 2 weeks, we'll have the second half of Solo, a Star Wars story. But don't forget, you can get the entire thing uncut and ad-free at patreon.com/worstpeople for only $3 a month. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. Chut chut.